So, welcome back. Hope everybody's well. Lovely day today in the sunny northeast. Yeah, another video. Hopefully you enjoyed the last few. And yeah, we're going to be cracking on doing some more on this. Yeah, I think just as a recap, let's have a look at what we did last time. So if you can remember, we've put this rear quarter in, out the sill. It's all spot welded up there now, hung the door, and actually, I mean, just look at the action on this. Wow. Better than factory. That, not much effort to shut that, so hopefully it should be okay. We then did a little bit on the jacking point, the rear jacking point. And also what I've done is, off camera, because it's a bit boring, so we've finished off all the seam sealing to the floor, or from the floor to the actual inner sills. That's there done now. So, what are we going to be on with today? Well, this. I mean, look at the state of this. This is what I've chopped out originally. Chassis leg, rear chassis leg. And that's this one here. So all that's new. We'll put all this in. Again, unfortunately, you guys didn't see that because that was predates YouTube channel. But anyway, it's in. And what it also had is, get this the right way around. It's got this towing eye thing, which is all rotted through. I mean, you can see the state of that. And then on the opposite side, which is what I've managed to salvage, is another sort of towing eye point, and that then fits on there like that. Okay, you can see where I've drilled the spots out. The original spot welds have been drilled out. And similarly on this one here. I think on the phase ones, these were bolted on. For some reason, phase 2, later revisions of the 5 turbo, GT turbo, so I'm corrected. Yeah, they just spot weld them on. Hence why we've got, you know, these things here, which I think were potentially the original bolt point, or something else, or maybe not for that actually, because it wouldn't bolt on, but certainly they were bolted on. I think it was here. I think they were bolted on here as well. So you're probably thinking, well, okay, I've replaced that bit. What the hell am I going to do about that? Well, I've made this. There, look at that. Almost like factory. But you can see there, it's about as close as I'm going to get it with my minimalist tools and experience. Working in my own little garage, doing my own little thing. And I think that's not too bad, is it? You know, it looks alright. I mean, it's quite heavy gauge steel as well. I don't know how thick it is, but certainly bigger than the original. And then the position of this goes there. So you can see it puts up to there, and then we've got the spot weld, so I'll just spot weld, plug weld, whichever you want to call it, that onto there. So yeah, I think that'll work okay. I mean, as I say, it didn't take too long. Now we'll just sort of knock that up. Similarly, this then goes on the inside of the new element of the chassis leg, which is up there, and yeah, it goes on there. Obviously, I'm going to have to use the persuader to make it fit, but yeah, one thing I've obviously ballsed up on is I've run some seam sealer just along that joint there, which I probably shouldn't have, because this needs to sort of tack up to there, although this floor is very thin, so I might not bother. I might just dress it back so it sits flush, and then just plug weld it and tap it into action. Yeah, okay, so I think next thing we'll do is we'll dress up, or I need to dress up on the bracket on here, just so we can get it welded on. Just setting up the wonderful Artec MiG 180. As I've said before, can't stress how good these are. Brilliant things. I've treated myself to some fresh gas as well. So these are just Hobbywell bottles. I think there's outlets all over the country, really. And when I started looking for gas that lasts longer than the really small bottles you can get, from the likes of Machine Mart and other welding shops, they just weren't cutting it. So I decided to get one of these. I think it's a 9 litre bottle. I think, led to believe you have around about sort of 3 to 4 hours worth of continuous welding on these. So they say. It's not bloody cheap now. It's you pay a subscription for the bottle. Sorry, not a subscription. You pay a one-off sort of payment for the bottle. And I think it's about 70 quid now. They keep that deposit for forever until you return the bottle. That's if you do return it. And it's about 65 quid, I think, to fill it up now. So yeah, I'm sure there's other cheaper ones, but these are quite handy. See, there's plenty of outlets. Somebody was asking the other day what I do to set these things up. So obviously you've got to set the gauges there. So you've got a pressure gauge here, so that's the pressure within the bottle, and then this is your flow gauge, flow meter, or whatever you want to call it. So as a general, I mean, I've just put this regulator into this brand new bottle. So what I'm hoping to see is as you can see there, that should say around about normally about 2,000 psi pressure in that bottle, which it is. Then on the flow meter, which is the important bit, because what you need to do is you need to adjust how much gas is coming out of your torch depending on your shroud and your welding conditions, I guess. But as a rule of thumb or a starting point, I normally set this to about I think it's about about 8 litres a second. I think generally does it for me. So you can see, so obviously that's now open. And what you can do is just adjust regulator just so the needle starts to go. And I think we've got litres per minute on the outside. And we just want to be, about there. So, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, and then we've got 10. So that's a starter. I adjust it, as I say, as and when needed, or if I feel like I need a little bit more, a little bit less gas. But I'm no expert. I'm just telling you how I do it. And then setting this thing up as well. In the instructions, there's various sort of tables to allow you to look at what types of voltage and wire speed you might need for different thicknesses of material and what type of joints or welding you're actually doing as well. It's really handy, as I say, and I find these work really well. Much better control, digitally than some of the other sort of makes that I've tested with. There's at hobby level, where I've welded with some heavier duty units as well in the past, previous job. I just thought I'd give you a little insight into that because people do want to know. So she's all cleaned up and positioned pretty much where I think it's going to need to be. Obviously this bit here, we'll be tapping that up once we get a couple of the spot welds in. And I was cleaned up down here, so because I'm going to buzz down here, buzz along here, the side as well, just for extra reinforcement, and then obviously it'll be this final bit. We'll bash that back, and then we'll get a weld in there as well, and that should be it. Hopefully you agree. That's better than what was there. Just as a reminder, that's what it looked like. got, and we'll bob around the other side as well. We've got the exhaust hanger. I think I called it something else. Exhaust hangers on as well. It's not pretty, but all of this is going to get undersealed. Buzzed around, yeah, all the way around there, so just linished it off a little bit. This is just spot weld. It's not going to take a huge amount of force, that, but ultimately it's something that the car needs to have, didn't have, now has. On to the next bit. This car that keeps giving. You might have seen, I've mentioned this bit before, so it's sort of the front bit of the chassis leg. I mean, it looks all brown there, but actually when I've given it a poke with the good old MOT tester, a lot of it, it's really solid. It's around the drain holes where they all seem to perish, but structurally wise, I'm sort of confident that there's enough still, strength in this, as long as we take care of the other bits that we see. If you remember this exhaust hanger as well, I don't know what's happening. The actual front of the like plate that holds the exhaust hanger on, so like part of the bracket, I mean, that's rotted off. It's rotted, and these are just spot welded on. And obviously, there's a bit of corrosion behind, actually, of the main box section of the chassis leg. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make a plate that covers beneath here and probably wraps around and covers that back there. It'll all be spot welded in, bent, and then buzzed around, and then we'll make a new plate. I'll try and save this part of the exhaust hanger if I can grind that off neatly, and then buzz it back onto a new back plate, and then tack that on. And that then should give us some hope in saving this rear section without having to cut it all out, because I think it's just on the edge of being saved. Some people might disagree with that, do the job properly, get it all cut out, but yeah, for what it is and what this car is going to be used for, and it'll still be structurally solid, doing it the way I'm thinking I'm going to do it. Because all the rest of this is absolutely fine, that's a big hole there, but again, that was the original drain hole, and I've sort of eased that back to good metal. This top skin, that's corroded through there, but the rest of them, these are just all normal sort of drain holes, and that's I think it's like a crush tube in there to allow the rear axle to be bolted from the top. So it's mainly this bit here. Obviously, so what we need to do, we need to get this off, and then I'll get a template made up for this section in and see if we can get it somewhere near. Let's go and have a look, see what's what. So, I think if you remember, I showed you this before, and now I've cut this back, and actually it wasn't so bad. When I chopped it all out, there's actually decent metal on either side, which is pretty good. But if you remember, there was a massive hole behind there. So what I've done is just got a plate. I've spot welded it to the inner sort of crush tube bracket that actually sits within here. So all that nice and tight against there, obviously for rigidity. And then I've buzzed around there. Obviously, all this all needs cleaning off. And then what we'll do is we'll make a plate underneath here. Drop it across the bottom there. We'll overlap it ever so slightly on this edge, and then it's difficult in here. I haven't got a huge amount of space to work because of the arms on here. So yeah, it's I'm doing the best I can. But well, let's get cracking, and I'll get this plate made up. I'll show you what's what, and I'll show you how it's going to fit. And just like magic, here we are. One plate. So you can see here, nothing too complicated. One plate, just made a template. Over that, see there, marked on where the holes are. drain holes and for where the bolts come through to hold the rear axle on. I've put a couple of cutouts in. I'm cheating a little bit because what it is, I'd already welded on the mounting point, sorry, the jacking point on the rear there. And I did that a while back because, again, in and around where this actually sits, it's actually quite solid. So anyway, in hindsight, I should have probably, done this job first, and then. But overall, it'll all stitch together, and it'll still be good. Like I said, the chassis leg or that inner sort of box section, it's not too bad. This is just going to reinforce it and obviously make it look a lot better and last longer. So anyway, yeah. So essentially, that's all it is. So what we'll do is I'll just show you how this hopefully fits. So it goes on. Get this right the way around. Again, it's a bit awkward because I'm trying to do this with one hand. If I ever invent a human with three hands, then I'll be rich. But essentially, that's how it's going to sit there. I'll just hold it on. Yeah. So it'll go up there. Hopefully, these holes roughly line up. I might have to dress them out ever so slightly. I'll clean that off. I'll buzz along here, all the way along the back there, and probably, just on this side as well. And that shouldn't be too bad. I'll probably put a couple of spot weld holes in as well. Actually, just sort of, or plug weld it to the actual bits that's underneath. That's still okay. That'll reinforce the underside of it as well. Yeah, I think that's all that's going to be needed. Yeah, okay. So what we'll do is I'll just get that buzzed on and then we'll show you where we are. Well, what a pig this has been. But I'll show you now before I dress it all up. So there we are. Welded all along there. Obviously that plate I showed you before. Put it all along there. And then underneath. There's a bit of not so good stuff at the back here. I just couldn't get a very good earth. It's probably very dirty as well. But I'm not too worried about that. Overall, that's solid. So I just need to dress it all back. Give it a dusting over of etch primer. And then, that should last at least one MOT. Yeah, one MOT. But there we go. Okay, so that concludes this little bit of work. There you go. Some seam sealer on to hide all the sins. And eventually, when we get finished off with the other bits and pieces, but it's not too far off, we're going to wax oil the hell out of the underside of this. I've got some stuff already sat waiting. But yeah, it's more solid than what it was. So, we're actually, we're getting there with this. There's a few things to do. I've got this fella on, he needs putting on. And then the last big task is the floor. It's the footwell. The footwell. I'm not quite sure whether you can see. There you go. Where that drain plug was, but next to it, there's another wonderful hole. And it's actually in some other place there. There's already been a patch there from somebody else, not me, because all my welding and everything down this side and all this new inner and outer sill looks okay. There's another bit I found as well. So I think I'm going to cut out all of this next, and then that's not too far off. Yeah, we'll be undersealing it. Yeah, actually, there's another couple of bits and pieces you see here as well. This cap. I've actually got a piece ready made to go in there, so I need to cut all this back and get it grafted in. As I say, similarly to what I did on the other side, which is there. Yeah, I mean, you see, it's exactly what Renault have done as well. I mean, it never matched up perfect, but all this was just one piece. Whereas what I've got is like I think it came from GT Turbo Spares. It's a, let's see if I can find it. Get this open, see if it's in here. Yeah, there it is there. See, so it's this repair section here, and what that does is that goes into there like that. So obviously I've got to use the persuader to get it in, and I'll not need to use all of that. So I need to cut it all down. Obviously it doesn't fit at all at the moment, but that shape's not too far off. So we'll get that in as well. Yeah, and then it's coming on. There's a few other bits and pieces, but I'll deal with them as and when, and I'll show everybody what I'm on with. So next bit, yeah, I think probably we'll do him next. Actually, I've just come with the bench. I forgot something. I bet I'll use a lot of thinking. He's missed something off. We've been repairing that. This thing. Yeah, so it's the exhaust hanger. If you remember, when we talked about this, it was all, well, I mean, look at the state of it. Horrendous. So I think I said I was going to make a new back plate for it and then try and salvage this, the actual exhaust hanger itself. And then what we'll just need to do is we just need to spot weld it up onto there, onto our new repair section. Yeah, so I think I'll probably do that. Might actually make this plate a little bit bigger, so it'll sort of cover the sins where this has been welded in. Although there's plenty of other patches on this car, so I'm pretty sure nobody's going to mind seeing another couple of join lines. So yeah, we'll get on with this bit, yeah. Well, yeah, so I think it's quite easy, this one. So you can see there I've just roughly marking that out into this lovely bit of heavy gauge steel, a little bit rusty in places, but I'll be cleaning that up. Yeah, so that's the rough outline of it, and I'll chop that out, and then we'll just mark up obviously where this exhaust hanger needs to sort of sit. This is like a top tab that folds over this way, and then it spot welds to the underside of the car, the floor of the car. So yeah, well, I think we'll get that cut out, and then we're on our way. Right, I just need to see if I could get this bit off this plate here. It's actually, probably see, it's spot welded on. It was probably around here as well. I'm just going to, yeah, spot welded there. I'm going to just grind it off, or grind it around, and then see if I can just break it free. And then, yeah, then I'll probably just run a bit of tack down each side, you know, before we chop it onto there. Okay. Managed to get it off in one piece. Yeah, you missed obviously seeing me smack my hand quite hard with the old persuader. Yeah, would have been great viewing, but I didn't record it. Save you guys the monotony of seeing these things happen in real life. But anyway, I've got it off. I've cleaned it with the bench grinder. It's as good as I really want it. You see here, I've marked up actually its position just before I took it off the original plate. I know roughly where it sort of lines up, so I can now sort of fix this to the back of here, and then bend this top tab over, pop a couple of holes in, and then it can be spot welded to the panel on the side of the car. So we'll sort that out right now. Just positioned it into the vise, just clamped it down. Got the good old Artec Big 180 out. Well, it's always out, to be honest, on this car. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll try and do this one-handed, and I'll get the gun in. We'll do an action shot. So that's what everybody wants. A bit of action welding. So I'll just pop a bit on, and then probably finish the rest off camera. It's difficult to film and deal with it, but missed. Yeah, I've got a tack on there now, so yeah, it's difficult to do this with just one hand, so I'll buzz off and I'll show you when it's done. And there we have it. One new bracket. The exhaust. An exhaust hanger. There we go. So that's before, and that's after. I think you'll agree, everybody, that's much better than what it was. So I'll just give it a bit of coal zinc primer. I'll do the same on the rear of it. Then I'll clean up the panel on the car. It's going to be plug welded too, and then yeah, I think that'll do. See, the welding's obviously gone a bit overboard, to be fair, but it's not too bad. But yeah, I think you've just got to make little sort of repair sections and little brackets and you know, all sorts of things really. I mean, if you think about, remember that there, you know, I'm not a brilliant panel maker or bracket maker, but yeah, I get by. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. So we'll get that on, and then that's another job ticked off the list. We've finished. Let's go and have a look. So, as we can see there, she's on. Well, and I've put a little bit of extra on just round there because, you know, my welding's atrocious. I get some flicker off that light as well, but anyway, hopefully you can see. So, I think this area now is pretty much done. On to the next bit. Mentioned this bit before, so this is just a section that normally rots off these rear quarter panels. Essentially, it holds the bumper on. Now, this second-hand panel still adds some of it. In fact, if I take that off, you can see there where it is. And normally, you know, all of this sort of rots out. So what we'll do is, because I've replaced the inner in, I've got somewhere to spot weld these holes too. I just need to line it all up and then bend this round, and then it's spot welded to the back of here, plug welded, and then we've got a lip on this replacement panel. Now again, this is all rotted out. Oh, see if I can focus. There. Yeah, so then these three can sort of be welded into that. As I say, it doesn't hold a huge amount of weight, so I'm not overly worried, but I need to get this all lined up, so I need a bit of trimming down here. I'll clean up all along there because we'll just tack a little bit down there, or we'll see if we can just get a decent purchase on these holes on the plug welding, and then yeah, that's another bit done and dusted. I'll just show you the other side as well. Yeah, you can see this one here. It was a similar story. In fact, this one was worse. So I had to weld it all over. Well, basically, there was just about a bit of a lip left on this Here, you can see there where it's into there, and then it's bent round, and then it's just, you can just see where the plug wells are, and then yeah, I mean that's absolutely solid there now. Okay, so we'll do the same for the other side. Okay, getting dark now, so I think I've just about had enough for today, but I'll show you just before I pack up. Ta-da! Look at that. Almost like factory. I'm quite impressed with these repair sections. They fit quite nicely, yeah. So I mean, obviously that lines up nicely with the original hole there. So obviously I think that's where the bumper actually attaches to, bumper bracket. But anyway, I have spot welded there, and there. So it's nice and strong. This bit I've just got to finish off along the top there. This panel's very thin, so I don't want to go too heavy on it. And then what will happen is this obviously just will be seam sealed along there, we'll seam seal there, and seam seal down there. And yeah, I'm relatively pleased with that. So that's another job ticked off the list. Oh, you're getting there. It's another day, and it's sunny. Look at that, sunny and warm. Who would have thought at the end of the year in the UK, a bit of sun. It's always better to do cars, work in the garage when it's sunny. So I think we're going to crack on with this. I mean, look at the state of it. Yeah, I think I've mentioned previously we had some issues with this floor pan. Yeah, it's not a nice job. I can't be bothered with it, to be fair. And if it wasn't so drastic, I'd probably just do some patches. And believe it or not, I've seen some classic vehicle restoration videos where they've done exactly that. Little squares cut out, welded in, jobs are good. Unfortunately, this is a bit more than that. We've got a lovely hole here. Here. This is all rotted out. You can see where there's been a previous repair down here. Nothing to do with me. I mean, look at that state of it. Yeah, here as well. And there's probably some other bits. I think in the corner there, that might have had something. Unless, no, I think that's where I've welded the jacking point. And there's a bit in this corner as well. I'm not so worried about that because normally I scrape the seam sealer back off there and reveal that. So I've treated it. We'll get in there. We'll get as much of it cut out as possible. But anyway, I think the plan, I'm probably going to have to cut out the whole of this. Nice big square. And I'll smash some sort of shape into it. There's actually, I think you might just be able to see here, there's a chassis leg that runs underneath here, and then obviously that's spot welded to the bottom of the floor. I'm just going to probably try and unpick gently around it, or at least, as I say, put some guy holes from underneath. So when I'm cutting this out, I'm not cutting through the chassis leg. I think that's probably the best plan. But yeah, we'll have to crack on with it. But you know, the car's getting there. We're actually getting towards probably 90% of the welding, I'm hoping. Fingers crossed unless I find anything else. So we'll crack on. Just underneath the car, I've just cleared all the old fuel and brake pipes to chop into them, but they're getting replaced anyway. So you can see here, the problem I've got is where the ramp is as well. You know, because I would have liked to just chop either side of this chassis wheel, but I think I'll be fine. I'm just going to buzz down there just to give me a reference point. Above, I'll cut on the inside, and then on this other side, I don't know, I might be able to get the hacksaw in. Or pilot holes in just to guide me, but yeah, I think the rest of it, to be honest, underneath is not too bad. I mean, that chassis wheel looks reasonably solid. Hopefully it doesn't give out when I chop it to the floor out, but yeah, you can see we're clear there, we're clear. probably down that side. You can see where that patch was in the past. Yeah, so I think we're going to get chopping. Bit of progress halfway through. Thought I'd stop and show everybody. You can see here, Fred Flintstone will be over the moon with this. Right up his street. Yeah, it's, yeah, you can see, I mean, obviously, where this jacking point's been mounted on, I mean, the floor's all rotten. I mean, this is all very, very thin. You can see here, you know, we had to get rid of it. So it was the right thing to shift it out the way so we can have a look. But yeah, looking, the chassis rail looks to be intact. I mean, yes, there's a lot of rust, but I think it's from the floor. It's all dropped in and corroding underneath. But yeah, when I took this bit out, I'll just show you this here, where it's been patched and welded before. You can see in there layers and layers of metal. You know, it's all rusty. You know, bad welds. I mean, I can't see anything. Mine's not brilliant. That's a bit of the old floor as well. So that was just yeah, and this is a bit of new metal. I mean, this is quite strong stuff, but you can tell whoever's done this repair, they haven't protected a bit of metal before they've actually welded on. It's just literally just slap on, bit of budge, top and bottom, and off you go. So yeah, there's a bit of flaw there. That looks alright. So I'm going to continue with this. What I want to do is I just need to get this top off and then reveal and clean up the top of these seams. So then I'll make a template. Hopefully this is, once I get this other bit off here as well, that comes along the top of that chassis leg, or chassis rail, it'll be easy enough to then get a bit of big bit of plate. I'll template this up, and then yeah, I'm not decided yet. I don't know whether to sort of just butt weld it and weld it all the way around and grind it back. That would probably be a neater job. But then I'm thinking I've got this edge here that I've used a bit of L plate to sort of stitch to the inner sill. So I could almost clean this up, grind that back, mount the plate up to that point there, and then weld along. That might be an idea. Left myself a little bit of room along here as well to do the same. Put it up to there and just weld it along. Obviously it'll be lifted here slightly, which is a bit of a... So yeah, I'm not sure. I think it'd be much easier just to drop it almost on top and weld it across. Is it ideal? It's not brilliant, is it? We'll see. We'll see. But ultimately, I just needed to cut it out and start having to think about it. You can see. And I'm a bit tired now, so we're going to finish up just for this bit. But before I go up, I'll show you that. Here we are. So it's part way through. I do need to clean it up, but I just thought I'll get the bulk of it done. And then the next time you see this, it should all be cleaned up. That should only be a few seconds, really, from the finishing of this bit. But yeah, you can see here, it's not too bad. I found this in there. A little memento. I mean, would you believe it? Something for free. Unbelievable, isn't it? So I would imagine whoever sort of cut that patch out, if you remember along here, they've left that trinket in there. It's not a bad bit of plate, that either, to be fair. Anyway, I thought I'd just use it to scrape along here and see what this chassis rail stroke legs like, and to be fair, it's alright. There's a bit of grease or something stuck in the bottom of that there, which is fine. You know, it's obviously help save it. It's a bit dry along here, but there's no major holes. Yeah, and it's pretty solid, so that's great. I'm happy with that. That jacking point's okay. This bit in this corner here, which we talk about, that's fine. I'll take that out into that corner, and then when I make up a full plate to redo we'll put back into the floor, I'll pick that bit up as well. I'll drop some holes in the plate, and we can then plug weld it to that leg. So yeah, the absolute mountain of bits of horrible metal, rusty old metal, as you can see here, it's all come off. I mean, this is what you've got to deal with. Do I put that back in there, make it look authentic? I might not. Yeah, it's rusting all the inside. I've showed you that bit before. I mean, several layers. I mean, the whole car's been like this, to be fair. I mean, I told you about the 3 outer sills, or remnants of, down here. Now, luckily, we've only got the 1. So yeah, it's coming on. I think this is probably one of the sort of last major bits, unless I find something else. After that, it's bits in and around the car, which I might do in a 1er, and then hopefully, we can start looking at undersail. But anyway, still got this job to finish off, so we'll get on with that. See you in a bit. Now we're continuing on. Yeah, been a bit busy. So, I'll show you what I've been doing. I've been cutting things out of paper. How exciting. It's like being back at school. So here we are. Here's my very rough template of a floor. Well, not even a floor pan, just over the floor. Driver's side footwell. And I'll show you what we've come up with. You'll be mightily not impressed. But here we are. Look at that. So, it took a little bit of finessing to get this to sort of fit. I'd decided in the end, if you recall, I'd mentioned about what do I do? Do I just whack a plate over the top there, leave it overlapped and just stitch weld it? But I thought, no, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do a little bit better job than that. And yeah, so I have cut it out roughly the shape, and we've got a reasonable gap. Touches in some place, but it's absolutely flat. It's perfect. Couple of gaps where, okay, I might have to just finesse with the welder. Up along here, yeah, all fits nice. Down there as well, I went a little bit too far with that, so I'm going to have to stitch that back in, but that'll close up no problem. So there's a bit of a slit. The biggest place I've buggered up is just there. I did cut the plate a little bit too short. Now, what I'll do is, for what it is, didn't feel like I needed to completely start again. I think it's doable where I can just stitch that in, stitch a little bit of a slither in there, get it welded up. And then we've got this corner here, so I'm going to leave this sort of overlapping. And if you remember, we had that bit of rot in there. Excuse the hammer, it's just holding this down flat. But yeah, so I'll bash that into the corner there, and I will sort of just weld that round it. As I say, it's not going to be seen, but it was better than what was there before, which was a bloody great hole. So, apart from a little bit of surface corrosion, which I'm going to have to deal with, so I'll clean all that up. The other point, if you remember here, obviously the chassis leg rail runs underneath here. The original panel sort of spot welded to it. Now I was going to pop some holes in here and then just plug weld it from the inside, but actually on thought, I'll probably just clean the underside off and then just give it a bit of a stitch down each side there. Not a huge amount, just tack it along every couple of inches or so, and then that will be perfectly on there. But I mean, the way this is sat on there now, sat in them, and that's absolutely it's butted on. And obviously I've used these little devices here. If anybody knows, I think I've mentioned these before, they're only a few quid. Yeah, they're sort of butt welding panel clip things. You can tighten the. Obviously that's not very good though, because I need to relieve the pressure on there. But anyway, they hold the metal two joins together, to allow you to sort of stitch weld it across, or butt weld. But yeah, okay, so I think we'll get all this cleaned up, and then I'll get it welded in. Okay, and before you lot sort of say, before he goes and welds that plate on and he doesn't treat the underneath of it with some stuff, well, there we go, we've done it. So I've put some FO Rust Treatment 3002, really good stuff. So that's gone on, and then a coat of primer. Yeah. So I'm reasonably pleased with that. I think that'll do. There's the plate to go on. Yes, I know it's got some flash rust on it. I'll deal with that. But at least you lot know I've done a half decent job protecting the underneath, and that probably outlive the rest of the car, to be fair. So yeah, we're going to get this plate stitched on. And here we have another day. Shall have a cup of tea as well. Right. Another day for me, but for you lot, only a few minutes. Look at that, dark outside. Tell what time of year it is as well. You've done a good job on that. Right, speaking of good jobs, or probably not. Nearly there. Ta-da, look at that, it looks like factory. If only. So, this is all nicely popped in there now. Welding wise, I don't know if you can see that. Sorry for the flicker on this, it's just this light. Yeah, that's better. You can see there, yeah, where I've welded. It's not the best job. I've just took the welds down a little bit. I haven't. The floor's really, really thin, so it's very difficult to actually grind too much back. Very, very thin floors on these. Buzzed along there where I put that new floor piece in, and we've got some rust away stuff just rubbed on just now, just drying, and then I can get a coat of etch primer on. So yeah, that's a big job. That was a pain in the arse to do that. I thought it was going to be quite easy, but you can see the contour and the shape of the panel, so it's not easy. Forgot to say as well, yes, I've done this bit in the corner here. You remember I had that overlapping bit again, just push the shape up and then bash it in there. There was a great big hole in here, and yeah, that horrific event, my fault that, but yeah, we've put a slither in there and then just buzz the weld over the top. So I think get a coat of etch primer on, and then we're going to pop underneath, and then just, if you remember, I decided I wasn't going to drill this out and tack it to the chassis leg underneath the chassis rail. I'm going to do that from underneath. It just about touches. I might just have to get something on here just to put a bit of pressure on. But I mean, you can see here now, that's absolutely solid. It's should outlive the car, hopefully. But there we go. The other side as well, I just decided just to chuck some rust convert on. You can see probably over there. Yeah, there's some horrific repairs, not by me, in that corner from past. But yeah, pop some rust inhibitor on, and it should be okay. So what we'll eventually do is, once I get the etch primer on, I will then run some seam sealer down both sides just to cover these welds. But ultimately, there's no more holes in the floor, which was the goal. So we'll crack on. As promised, there we are. Completed floor pan section. No holes. Always a bonus. Very difficult to see the light on here. See everything goes down the back there, all the way along, all in the corner, all the way down there. With that floor section's gone in, so yeah, it's okay. I had a right chew on, actually, a bit of a carry on. I've had to smack the floor down around this section here. You can see it's all a bit, probably looks worse than what it is. Yeah, there's a few hammer marks on there because I needed to try and get it a little bit closer for the attachment of the chassis leg. Yeah, bit of a mistake on my part, behalf that on my part. Underneath, see here, there now, that's the bit there, and there's just a couple of blobs of snotty weld just onto the chassis leg, and similarly on the other side as well. Yeah, so there's just a bit of rust converter on there. This bit here is just, I've left this on that. I was going to cut this off. I decided to leave it on because it'll not be, obviously it's welded on the inside and it works quite well. So I've just left that on there, and then by the time it's under sealed, it'll be absolutely fine. Oh, the lighting here is dreadful. Hopefully you get the idea. So it'll have some seam sealer placed on it. Tetrasil. So that's going to go on. And yeah, we're getting there. And I think we're reaching a conclusion to this video now. I think you lot have probably seen enough of me welding. And lots of welding it has been. I think a few moments ago I did say I'd show you the underneath, which is there. So coat of etch primer, got some seam sealer on. I've run out actually, so I need to drop some more on. You can see both sides there. It's, you know, it's not a brilliant job, as in it could be neater. It's perfectly structurally sound. I've got no issues with that. Once it's undersealed, it'll be relatively invisible. And on the inside, seam sealed around where I've done the join, and we've got some seam sealer down the corner there, right the way where it meets the inner seal and that floor. And it's actually, yeah, absolutely solid. I know that's never a good test, really, isn't it? You couldn't tell how strong it is by me bashing it, but there you go. So I think, yeah, I think we'll almost finish up on this one. Next on the list is actually, yeah, we're going to start to rebuild it all. No, I think I'll underseal it first. So we'll go through the process of undersealing it all, make sure it's all nice and tidy underneath. Then we'll start to build up things like the rear axle, brake lines, fuel lines, brake compensator. Trying to think of also, yeah, rear shocks, all new stuff to pop on. Quite exciting, really, even though it's not my car. But yeah, nice to see it sort of starting to come together. So we've got new wheels for it as well, which are quite special. So I'll show you them. It's the standard ones, but they've been refurbished. And yeah, we're getting there. So thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe if you can be bothered. If you want to see me again, please do that, because no point me just doing it for myself. Appreciate your time. Take care. Bye bye.